Four bloody brilliant games. I'm Sam. These are the week's headlines. We begin with reports that the three major platform holders will not have a presence on the revamped E3 2023 show. That's according to an IGN report and VGC sources. IGN's Kat Bailey writes in her report that multiple knowledgeable sources have told the outlet that Xbox, Sony and Nintendo won't be part of E3 2023 or have a presence on the LA Convention Center show floor. While VGC's Andy Robinson writes that their sources have claimed discussions were ongoing with Microsoft and that it could yet have a business and media presence similar to last year's Gamescom, if not a traditional booth. VGC sources, who the publication claims have knowledge of Nintendo's plans, say the company has decided to skip E3 2023 because it feels it has fewer major releases than usual ready to show, which would justify significant event space. Sony's decision to reportedly skip E3 is less surprising, as a Tokyo-based platform holder had been the first to do so back in 2019, with Sony saying it was doing so as it looked for other innovative opportunities to connect with its own community, which translates to me as we can do pretty much everything E3 does with various states of play shows throughout the year. Last week, Phil Spencer confirmed that Microsoft would be holding its Summer Games Showcase in LA in time with E3, as the time was convenient for press and consumers. It's likely that Microsoft will take the same approach to 2019, in which Microsoft didn't have a booth on the show floor at the LA Convention Center, instead opting for the neighbouring Microsoft Theatre. ReedPop, the organisation behind Penny Arcade Expo, Emerald City, New York and MCM Comic Cons, C2E2, the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo and Eurogamer Expo, among others, that took the contract to run E3 in July of 2022, told VGC that it received a tremendous amount of interest from many of the biggest companies in the industry, and that it was confident the lineup would be worth the trip. We had a fair number of games that this week have been announced to be shutting down. In order of shutdown dates, we've got Iron Galaxy's Battle Royale Rumbleverse will be shutting down on the 28th of February, just 7 months after the game's launch. Developer Iron Galaxy, in its blog on the game's demise, hinted that the lack of players was the reason behind the title closing, with Epic Games saying that any player that spent money on or in the game will receive refunds. Next, EA announced in its Q3 2022 financial results that it's ending development on both Apex Legends Mobile and Battlefield Mobile, and shutting Battlefield Mobile developer Industrial Toys. Battlefield Mobile hasn't been fully released yet, with many players playing through the betas. Apex Legends Mobile will shut on the 1st of May, with all in-app purchases having been disabled and the game has been removed from app stores. EA says it will not be providing refunds for money spent on Apex Legends Mobile. Smilegate and Remedy's Xbox shooter CrossFireX will be shutting down both its multiplayer and single-player modes on the 18th of May. The sale of the game on Xbox stores has been halted and there will be no new content added for the title. Any purchases of the game made within the last 14 days are eligible for a refund. CrossFireX was released in February of 2022 exclusively for Xbox consoles. Smilegate says it decided to end support for the title because the game was not ultimately where it needed to be. And Villain Studios has announced that it's shutting down its dodgeball multiplayer game Knockout City on the 6th of June. The studio announced this time last year that Knockout City was going free to play and that the studio was parting ways with EA to self-publish the game's future content. That free-to-play launch happened last June with the start of the title's 6th season. Back 4 Blood developers Turtle Rock Studios has announced it's ending post-release development on the game. In a message published on the company's website, the studio claimed it did not have the resources to continue creating content for Back 4 Blood, while at the same time focusing on the creation of its next unannounced game. Quote, Turtle Rock Studios is actually pretty small for a studio making AAA games. We don't have quite enough folks to continue working on Back 4 Blood content while we spin another game. Yes, another game. Given this, it's time for us to put our heads down, get back in the lab, and get to work on the next big thing. Turtle Rock said despite the ceasing development on Back 4 Blood, the game will continue to operate. The PlayStation Plus collection will soon cease to exist, Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced. From the 9th of May, the collection of 19 games will no longer be offered, SIE said on Wednesday. The games can still be redeemed until that date and will be available to players after if they continue to use PlayStation Plus. The PlayStation Plus collection is a library of PS4 games given exclusively to PS5 owners who are also members of the paid subscription service. The collection includes God of War, Fallout 4, Mortal Kombat, Uncharted 4, Ratchet & Clank, Days Gone, Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human, Battlefield 1, Infamous Second Son, Batman Arkham Knight, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Resident Evil 7, Bloodborne and Monster Hunter World. Redfall will require that players are permanently connected to the internet, even when playing the game's single-player modes, Bethesda has confirmed. The requirement is confirmed in the game's newly published official FAQ, which states that while players will be able to play solo without an Xbox Gold subscription, they will still need to be online to do so. The FAQ page also states that a Bethesda.net account will be required to play the game. As we confirmed last week during Microsoft's Developer Direct, Redfall has been confirmed for a launch on the 2nd of May. Respawn Entertainment has delayed Star Wars Jedi Survivor. In a message posted to Twitter, Respawn states that the game is content complete and is now solely focusing on fixing bugs, ensuring stability and polishing the experience as much as possible. Respawn has set the game back 6 weeks to allow for this work to be done, so Jedi Survivor will now launch on the 28th of April. The free games with PS Plus and Xbox games with Gold for February have been confirmed. On Sony's side, players can claim 2022 survival title Evil Dead the Game on PS4 and PS5. Side-scrolling skateboarder Ollie Ollie World on PS4 and PS5. Destiny 2 Beyond Light for PS4 and PS5. And Mafia the Definitive Edition for PS4. All 4 titles can be claimed from the 7th of February until the 6th of March. PS Plus users can still get January's games until the 6th of February. With games with Gold, users can pick up strategy RPG For the King from the 1st until the 28th of February. And Sports Smashathon Guts and Goals from the 6th of February until the 15th of March. Before we go, a quick roundup of the notable releases for the past week. The 31st saw the release of Season A Letter to the Future for PlayStation consoles. The next game from Scavenger Studios, the developer behind Darwin Project, this adventure title scored an aggregated 77% from 41 outlets. Also out on the 31st was the Xbox consoles port of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. When the PC release came out in November of 2019, it scored an 84 from 32 reviews. The Xbox Series version this week, from 12 publications, scored an average 87%. Rounding out the 31st was the release of We Were Here Forever for PlayStation and Xbox consoles. The PC port scored a 77 when it dropped in May of 2022. This week, only the Xbox Series version had reviews published at the time of publication, with 4 outlets scoring the co-op adventure a 81% average. The second kicked off with Deliver Us Mars for PlayStation, Xbox and PC. The PC version from 7 reviews scored an average 72%. The PS5 port from 9 outlets scored an average 67%. And the Xbox Series release from 2 publications scored 72%. Fashion Police Squad also released on the 2nd for Xbox Series, PlayStation 5 and Switch. The PS5 port of the retro-style FPS scored 77% from 5 outlets. The Switch version from 2 reviews scored an average 80%. And the Xbox Series release from 3 publications scored an aggregated 73%. And finally, on the 3rd, Spellforce Conquest of Io released for the PC. This turn-based strategy title from developer owned by Gravity has been reviewed by 5 outlets and from those scored an average 79%. With all that said, we've reached the end of this week's episode. Be sure to leave your thoughts on any of the stories we talked about today in the comments down below, and while you're down there, let me know what games you've been playing. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a thumbs up and a subscribe, it really helps out the channel, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at BloodyBrillGames for updates on our content. I'm Sam, thank you for watching Bloody Brilliant Games. I'll see you next week, goodbye.